this. All right, so the greatest gift I've ever gotten was that of salvation, knowing Jesus, his death, burial, and resurrection to me were the most valuable gift. They're my children, my Antoine, my Richland, my Rochelle. They're my gems. But the greatest gift was significant beyond those that I can say was the gift of being doula, both in birth and in death. This year I was allowed for a friend of mine who wanted no parent, mother nor father, sister nor sibling, no one of her or her husband's in the room as they welcomed their child into that environment. They only wanted me to be there because they knew I would hold that space sacred and that I would honor their wishes and that I would welcome that child in an environment of wholesomeness and all of that. It was needful, and it was beautiful to see because they had decided on what name it might be, but they didn't decide on the name until they had that baby in their hands. So baby B came here as a gift to the family, but an honor for me to be in that room. So it was a significant gift in that I was able to hold that place for them. And in that same vein, bringing birth to any situation, same thing with my brother in his death. 2015, the diagnosis with cancer in the latter part, it was this time of year. I had gone home for Christmas, and my mother's in this 3-story big old house in Philadelphia, and he called me down in the basement. He says, I want you to do my program. I want you to do my service for me. And we sat and we went over every detail of that program, the way he wanted it, down to the point that he had a friend of his who was a novelist record his whole life story. But so we had his life story done over that period of time, but then for me to do those final pieces of the service, how he wanted it, the whole 9 yards. And it was the trust in both of those instances was the most significant gift. That program was so beautifully orchestrated, down to having his friend Jonathan Dubose, who was his eulogist, the guy who plays Harry Connick's. He's Harry Connick's guitar player. Wow. Harry Connick did a tribute to him on guitar, Star Spangled Banner. It was just the most beautiful thing, down to his friend Jerome Bell, who was the MC. Now, all the bishops and elders and preachers that we have in our family, just our heritage, he used none of them. He used none of them. He used the people who were significant in his life. And it didn't take away from that, but what it did was enlighten how big his life was and how wonderful it was and what an honor it was to do that. So to me, the significance of holding and having these conversations about what you want your end to look like, that legacy planning, that whole process, the thing I do in financial services is the same thing. We don't have these hard conversations about what you want in your death. You talk about your life, but that end piece is so significant and so valuable, to find someone you can trust with those final pieces of your life and make that the significant gift you give them by giving them your trust to carry it out. That was my greatest gift.
That's perfect.